Emulsifier, thank you. Helping to distribute Gatorade's coloring throughout the bottle, Carter said.
You were never a guest on Sesame Street, were you?
No. I was on the Muppets once, though, when I was a kid. They did a live Muppets show. They used to do them. Dave, you
really?
Yeah, they used to do them back in the 80s. Do you remember it? It was actually a show on TV. And it was
sorry to derail your story, but
that's
hilarious.
Self-derailed.
Which is usually how it happens. Anyway, where was I? So now the company, help through color, Carter said. Now the company is swapping in another emulsifier.
Oh, there's that word again. Emulsifier.
That word, emulsifier.
Things that mix things up.
Yeah.
I don't know this word, so I'll just make one up.
You think I know that because we use that a lot in culinary when I was in culinary school. Yeah. Because you emulsified stuff a lot. I think it's just because it's emulsifier. It's confusing.
You still practice that technique.
I think it's the marijuana.
No, I don't do that kind of stuff. Never. With another emulsifier.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And how deep does your rabbit hole go, my friends? Welcome to First 52, RazRadioLive.com, Twitch.tv/Sean Ras 1. Oh, you're in for it tonight. We got a good show planned. I'm really excited about tonight. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I think we're going to be very informed. I think we're going to learn a lot of different things, conversations that maybe we haven't had in the past. So I'm looking forward to it. Of course, sitting over to my left is my beautiful, lovely wife, Lexy. How you doing, honey?
Doing awesome.
Doing awesome? You ready for some fun?
I am.
Good. I always love when people are ready for fun. And of course, as I've been promoting all day, we have an in-studio guest. First time we've had an in-studio guest here at the First 52 in a long, long, long time, especially in this room at least. You might know him from The Rob Show on Bubba Army Radio. Patrick Welsh is in studio with us. How you doing, Pat?
I'm doing great, man. I thought you were going to call me lovely. I didn't realize you were going to her first.
Yeah, you're the guest host tonight. So
and how far out this is, I'm guessing you're not going to get too many people in studio.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? No. I figured after you did a 2-hour drive to do, 2-hour drive to do 2 hours of radio to do 2 more hours of driving, it would be a lot for you.
Dude, what's up with that Winchester Boulevard out there? It's 45 miles an hour. Do you have cops around here?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Charlotte County Sheriff, some of the finest cops in the world right around here. I'm just kidding.
So I'm guessing that there's tons of revenue being generated on Winchester.
Is that
correct?
They just opened that road, 2 years ago?
It's pretty much their only means of revenue.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think so, honestly. At 45 miles an hour, man, a lot of places that would be 55 or 60 in different areas.
Well, on the other side of it, before you cross 776, the other side of it is 55. So once you cross where that new Circle K was, I think it's a Circle K. Is that a Circle K or a racetrack? Whatever it is. After you cross there and that last leg of it is where it drops down to 45. When they first opened that road 2 years ago, it was actually 40.
Oh, my gosh. Are you serious?
Yeah, they bumped it up about a year ago. They did like a year of heavy, heavy, heavy revenue generation over there. They were pulling people left and right.
And pulling off of 75 was interesting, too. Literally every single vehicle stopped at the stop sign and made a right turn. And I'm guessing there's not much traffic coming from the west right there.
No, there's none. There's no road there.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody stopped, and I'm like... I get bothered when that happens. I call people slaves often to myself in my car when they're doing. I'm like, you effing, can we curse on here?
Oh yeah, fucking yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I mean, I don't curse often, but yeah, I'm like, literally, man, you guys are like fucking slaves. Like, go. I don't understand the people that, like, cops will actually get bothered if you stop. You know what I'm saying? And wait too long, like
at certain things. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just I get more bothered by that. The right turn on red. Honestly, I don't know what that is. That's one of my biggest agitations in life.
Well, you got to remember, especially here right now, I don't know if you guys see it up where you're at as much as we see it here, but we're very heavily seasonal here. So right now, every idiot you can imagine is in town. I mean, every idiot you can imagine is here now.
Well, thankfully they're here. They're helping us avoid having a state income tax. I know that, all of our tourism.
Yeah, that is true.
I always thank the Canadians. When I do comedy and there's Canadians around, I tell them that, like, man, I'm glad you're here because you're helping save us for having to pay extra taxes.
Yeah, so Patrick is a stand-up comedian. What I found and learned after listening to him a few times on Rob's show is that he is a conspiracy guy, shall we call it.
I don't like to use that term, but people understand it more, I think.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. You have to use terms that people out there can figure out and
But a lot of people,
understand.
If you do that, you might as well just say crazy, though.
Well, yeah, I'm crazy. I'll admit it. My wife will tell you right now. I'm very crazy, honey. I need you to go that way a little bit tonight.
And I don't like truther either. I know a lot of people like that term too, truther. Like, I don't know. I just don't like groups in general. Don't put me in a group.
You don't want to be labeled. I don't like being labeled.
Not in any way, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when people ask me, what's your political affiliation, I kind of look at them. I'm like, well, if you really need me to box myself into something, I would consider myself like a conservative libertarian if I have to, give you something you understand. But I just do my thing, man. I don't expect people to do anything for me. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Let me do my life the way I want to do it. As long as I'm not harming you or anybody around me, what do you care?
Yeah, good luck with that in our society.
Yeah, I know. I know. I feel you, brother. Trust me. I absolutely feel you. So, my wife, I know a lot about you, or I know more than my wife knows because I listen to Rob's show and I hear your stories and got an idea of what you are. But just give my wife an idea of what she's getting herself into here.
I have no idea. I don't know what. Yeah, I think if you just start talking and we start talking about things, she'll see what.
what you're.
Dude, they say when we do Rob's show, they call me pissed off, and but I don't look at it that way, and I'm more bothered by human behavior more than anything. Like I'm not really pissed or I don't hate.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that right turn on red. Like I'll call them slaves and whatnot, but I really think that's an enslaved person. Like their mind's enslaved. They're afraid to break the so-called rules when there's nothing unsafe about that whatsoever. Slowly going, dude. A lot of lights. You're actually legally allowed to make a right turn on red going up to almost 15 miles an hour.
Right. Well, a lot of people, remember, we're both Northerners. I'm from Jersey. I'm born and raised in Jersey. So it's a little different world up there, especially driving. But that goes back to all the idiots we got down here right now, makes it a little more difficult. And I'm not a very big law person. I don't like a lot of laws. I think that if there's no victim, you haven't performed a crime, you shouldn't have to deal with law enforcement at all at that point in time. That's always the way I've kind of lived my life. My wife kind of leans along those sides. Let's start with 9/11, obviously. let's just start there. Let's start there.
No segue. Let me just say, I saw a meme the other day, and it had paramedics, had a picture of paramedics, had a picture of firefighters, had a picture of cops.
Right.
And it said, like, paramedics don't go out looking for people that are hurt. They wait for a call. Firefighters don't go looking for fires to fight. They wait for a call. Like, cops should do the same and not be out trying to gather revenue. Because that's a lot. Like, you talk about around here. When I drove to Georgia, literally, like, I got a speeding ticket on the way up to fight a speeding ticket, and then I got a speeding ticket on the way back. Yeah, exactly. And, like,
Patrick's got a heavy
Georgia,
foot, honey.
Yeah, I drive fast often, but it's so annoying because, like, the first one was 12:30 at night. I'm in the middle of nowhere just driving on the interstate, like 90 miles an hour. Oh, that's so unsafe. And I noticed that there's literally nothing around there, man. So that has to be one of their main sources of revenue, like getting people that are just driving through the state.
I think that's what I've been pulled over for the most.
Speeding, yeah. My wife's got a heavy foot also.
Well, if there's no one in front of me or behind me, what the hell?
Well, I got in an argument the other day on the air, and my argument was the people think it's unsafe. What's more unsafe, me driving 100 miles an hour by myself, not around traffic, or everybody driving in a pack of traffic at 70 miles an hour in a big grouping? I think it's more unsafe than me by myself. And people do the deer might jump out in the road or all these absurd things.
But if a deer jumps out in the road,
so you're doing the public a service by not being around them whatsoever.
Right.
That's what I think. Yeah. And if I crash, I don't think I'm gonna caught. Most accidents aren't happening out on the interstates. They're not. Like, if you pay attention when you're driving, most of them are near intersections in some way, shape, or form, and that's just people not paying attention.
Right, and the interstates are usually drunk drivers or just stupid people. I mean, let's be honest. We got a lot of stupid people around in the world.
Well, with the tourists down here, we have so many people from different areas, old people that can't read English, a lot of them,
confusing.
Guessing. For sure. I don't know, I don't get prejudice on the roads, but maybe it's a little bit of times.
Well, a lot of it, you know what, I say a lot of it is due to the fact that we are very selfish as people. If you're going to miss not us sitting in this room, I mean humanity in general is just a very selfish.
We're excluded from this.
Well,
from other people.
I think we're kind of selfish too, but most of humanity is very selfish. So if you're driving somewhere and you're in the far left lane and you don't know where you're at, and all of a sudden there's that turn you need to make or that exit you're supposed to go at.
Across 3 lanes
of we just don't care. We'll jam on the brake and cross across everybody and cause an accident and not even blink an eye about it, and that's just humanity. But me, I'll drive down the next road if I got to, or pull over and back up, or I won't shoot across, although I drive a big conversion van, so it's kind of hard to just shoot across 3 or 4 lanes of traffic in that thing, although I have tried before, I think. But that's, I think, part of the problem is we're very selfish people, very self-centered as a species, at least Americans.
People just walk in front of traffic, like how they'll just walk out of a grocery store right in front of your vehicle.
Don't even look, yeah.
Don't even look.
I'm in the crosswalk. I can do it.
So a lot of people
maybe they just have no will to live.
Yeah, well,
and they're just
see, a lot of people
would
say they're narcissists and think that they're narcissists, just looking at their phones and not paying attention. I think the exact opposite. They're not, man. I care about myself so much. I'm that big of a narcissist that I actually look for traffic everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I'm that concerned. I don't think these people, like you said, they don't have like a will to live. Obviously, they don't care, and it's annoying that we have to look out for them.
Yeah,
you know, like
you
have
don't
to
know. They might have gone grocery shopping and go, who knows? Maybe someone will finally take me out today.
Yeah, at 10 miles an hour driving through the parking lot.
I don't know. Slow crushing
Just break
death.
a leg.
Yeah, it could be.
I've had a few instances where I've gotten like super pissed off at people. Very rarely do I get mad. A few weeks ago,
felt justified in running them over.
I almost wanted to. I thought about it once or twice, but fortunately enough, I don't want to go to jail.
Try not to do that.
I didn't. I definitely avoided that.
Right.
Oh, I'll say stuff to people when they're walking slow, or I'm vocal at times.
One of my problems, one of my biggest issues in a parking lot is people that walk along instead of across. So they walk off the sidewalk and their car is, let's say, 15 cars down to the right. So they walk in the middle of the road as you're trying to let them go across, but they just kind of walk
like
across.
Diagonal,
right,
taking up the whole road for everybody instead of like get across the road and then
walk to your car.
Yeah, I thanked a person. I saw a person do that the other day in front of me, and I rolled my window down. I said, "Thanks a lot, man," because I actually acknowledged what he was doing, because not that many people do it. Like walking around with these crutches.
Across.
Yeah, no, he didn't walk to his car like, "Hey, I'm just going to my car." He actually took the most indirect route, you know what I'm saying, to avoid causing me to have to like walk, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
like,
so he walked along this curb or something.
Went out of
he went out of his way to let me
way.
continue just driving as
That's what I
opposed
do,
to
yeah.
Oh, I do the same thing, man. I'm totally, because that's what I'm saying. I actually care about my life, and and I care about other people around me too, man. It's easier for me to stop walking as a pedestrian than you just stop your car.
Well, if we're going to do a driving rant, the other big thing that drives me nuts, you know what grinds my gears, Patrick? The other thing that really gets me is pull-through parking.
Oh, my Lord. You lost on that old lady.
Oh, my God. I flipped out on some lady one day. Do you know what pull-through parking is, Patrick?
I'm not sure.
All right.
I don't think. I mean, I'm sure when you tell me, I'll know. But
AAA actually promotes this. And what pull-through parking is when you pull up to a parking spot, you should either back into it or pull through the one spot to the next spot so you're at the outer end. Make sense?
Well, a lot of the parking lots I think of, you're at the outer end either way because there's...
What nose out is basically what they're trying to say. So they're saying that if you can pull through, if you pull into a parking spot, instead of stopping at the white line, they suggest...
I see what you're saying. Okay, but what about the ones that are one way this way, one way that way, and they're at angles, and the angle's actually away from the... It's actually the way that you're driving, so if you would pull through it...
You're going the wrong way when you go to pull out.
You're going the wrong way, so then you have to do a weird... That's a good job, AAA.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously in that situation, it wouldn't work the way they say it would work.
Well, people are morons, though. So.
That's true, too. So
I'm going to give it a shot.
I go to my normal place, and I go to pull into this parking spot, and this lady is on the other side, and I'm executing my turn in, and she's starting to pull through, and there's a van where neither one of us could see each other. They're a huge van. So I pull in and I stop. I've got my nose in the parking spot. This bitch pulls all the way forward into the spot I'm trying to pull into, gets out of her car and walks away. I whipped around. I parked my car. I'm like, thanks for taking my spot. She's like, I didn't know we had assigned spots. I'm like, fuck you, bitch. And I don't do that to people. Like, I don't raise my voice to people usually. I'm very calm. I don't, I'll take the abuse and just move on away from it because it's not worth the conflict. But I actually said something to this lady, and I went into my pizza shop that I go to all the time, and Tony's, and I just ranted for like 5 minutes. Today.
You let that ruin your day.
My day got ruined today. Oh, my God.
Dude, the first night I met my wife, or we went out on a date, actually, I had a starter going out in my car, but I had a 5-speed. So I parked it out at the end of the parking lot, kind of on an incline, and I didn't do the pull through. I did the park at the first one, and it actually was a detriment to me because I walk out and somebody had parked in front of my car. The parking lot was totally empty, like no other cars around. They had to park right in front of my car. So I had to like call and get a ride from somebody and borrow a vehicle to go take her out for the first night. It was funny, man. Her brothers would actually have to push start my car sometimes. They were like young kids. I'm sure her parents love that, me coming over and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, little kids come out here and push my car so I can pop the clutch.
And Pat and his wife, you guys were high school sweethearts, right?
No, I met her when I moved down here. Like, I was 19 and she was 17. She was like a pastor's daughter, and all raised with like a promise ring and
so you,
whatnot,
like,
and
really
I show
pissed
up
her
with like
family off.
longer
Good
hair
job.
and wearing tie dyes and stuff, like totally not what they wanted. And
Awesome.
yeah, we've been together for 22 years now, so it's a long
hey.
time.
That's a long
But
time.
9/11, yeah, what about that?
Well, you know, I'm trying
Obviously.
I'm trying to give people an idea who you are. I've got news stories pulled up, and we'll get into some things. But
Well, I tell people with 9/11, man, I have no idea what happened. If you think you do know what happened, you're out of your mind. But if you believe the official story, you're fully out of your mind because why don't we build everything out of those passports that they found, within a couple hours?
right.
That were able to withstand, like, fires and
But-
fires that brought down buildings and...
But we couldn't find the black boxes that were made to survive these crashes.
Yeah, just all that. Or you just look, there's no plane at the Pentagon. I don't know what...
Yeah, I agree with that. 100%.
How do you have to... That's what I'm saying, man. If you can see, if your eyes work, then you know that there's holes in the story, so you have to question it. Dude, have you ever read the 9/11 Commission report?
I've read bits and pieces of it. Obviously, I've read a bunch of different books, you know, reviewing it, debunking 9/11 debunkers, and multiple different books. Watched every documentary out there on it that you could. So it's sad when you question what goes on, and nowadays, fortunately enough, 17 years later, people are starting to go, well, this really doesn't make sense, but what are we going to do about it? It doesn't really matter. They don't realize that we wouldn't be killing brown people in 7 different countries if it wasn't for 9/11. I don't know if you saw the story I posted earlier today, honey, or something I posted somewhere about we're bombing 7 countries right now. It's on Facebook. I didn't pull that up. I got to pull
Only
that one up.
7?
Well, officially we're bombing 7 right now, but it's the ones that what's his face? Wesley not Wesley Snipes, General Wesley Clark.
Blades running. Middle East.
The one Wesley Clark, and I played this 100 times on my show, and once I find it, I'll play it again just to refresh your mind. But it's all those ones that we're attacking right now. You had brought up Africa, or was it Africa you brought up, or South America?
South Africa.
South Africa, you know, right before the show, about how they're actually got white people trying to get the hell out of there. They're trying to take their country back. Finally. What is this? Leave me alone, YouTube.
They're not getting them out of there. They're killing them.
Well, but there's
That's
a lot of
kinda
people.
different.
There's a lot of people
It's
that
not like they're being deported.
there's a lot of people trying to what the hell did I read? What's it called when you leave your country and you're forced out? Refugees. There's a lot of people that are like trying to call, you know, refugees and get out of there that way. 7 countries. I can't spell countries. Why can't I spell countries?
Well,
there we go.
I
got it. So the countries that we're attacking right now were the ones that, and I'm going to play this again. I played it 100 times.
They're the ones that were laid out.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
This is from.
Isn't that weird? We have our own little lingo.
I know, right?
Or language. Like, seriously, like, if you already know things, you know what I'm saying? You can just mention a few words and people know what you're talking about.
Well, that's what I was telling Lexi. I was telling her that, you know, when you started with Rob on his show, I swear to God, you're like a mirror image of me, or I'm a mirror image of you, or whatever. Like I said, you're like my brother from another mother, because we literally, he'll ask you a question about a conspiracy, and I'll be answering it identical to what you're saying at that given moment that you're answering it to him. So that's why I find it very interesting that we think the same way.
So we've been brainwashed by the same sources. Is that what you're saying?
we got brainwashed by
You guys watched all the same documentaries, clearly.
by the conspiracy guys, right? Exactly.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do."
It's great we find that funny, isn't it?
So I said, "Well, did they find some information
pause that for a
connecting Saddam to Al Qaeda?" He said,
Have you ever seen the clip where George Bush is doing the thing at the I think it's the press dinner, whatever that BS is.
No weapons under here.
Yeah, no weapons under here, and the whole room. He was making a joke about there being no weapons of mass destruction, and they had pictures of him, looking under a desk or like made light of it. That's what I'm saying, man. Like I don't know what to say, honestly.
Shitty.
There's a song I got that starts out with that. I wish I could remember the title. I'd play it for you.
No, he says there's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq. He said, I guess it's
You've seen this, Pat,
like,
right?
We don't know what to do about terrorists, but
yeah, I know about the
we've got a
project
good
for the new
military
American
and we can
century
take down
and
governments.
the PNAC documents, a lot of people call it. You can go read that. They kind of laid out that was pre 9/11.
Signed 1 year before 9/11, almost to the date, and it was all the people involved that you look and go, Wolfowitz and Cheney and Jeb. And who else? Some of the other
all of
big
them. They
signers.
basically wanted to maintain the American empire that's lasted way longer than any other empire in history. So I mean, I knew that when I was younger, as I was getting old. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and if you couldn't see China's the next empire, that's
they've been building it up. It's definitely looks
big
that
time,
way.
dude. The Chinese government now owns the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York. Do you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a big hotel. I mean, they have like politician events there. Tons of people have lived there. They've had all kinds of events. That's a big historic hotel. And some insurance company from China owned it, and it was taken over by the Chinese government. So they literally own. So the Chinese are buying a lot of things in the United States. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I did read
wire
tons of
tapped up
stuff.
too.
Yeah, I just read something about briefly today. Actually, I think it was a Drudge Report about something with the Chinese and 10%. I didn't really read the whole thing. I kind of was scanning through, and it just didn't really grab me.
Well, you think their army, their military, that they have the same amount of people practically as the population of the United States, which is just astounding if you think that. That's scary.
Yeah. Oh, they would destroy. I mean, absolutely.
They're slowly building up, and that's what people don't. These low-level brainwashed morons. I don't know what you call them, sheep or whatnot, but
the sheeple.
They want to go into the white privilege, blah blah blah. Dude, we're white, and the people that they hate us. You know what I'm saying? Like people hate these white people, these white rich oligarchs and the rulers and stuff, and they don't realize those white powers that be hate you and me. You know what I'm saying? Like they hate all of us equally.
Well,
they see is green, pretty much.
Everybody talks about, these guys are up there saying, "God bless America, God bless this." They forget that, or the basic humans that have religions and go, yes, thank you for blessing. It's a different God they're talking about. It's not, I'm not a religious guy. I'm an atheist. I need some more evidence. I believe the Bible was written to control stupid people, and that doesn't mean that these other people don't have a religion that they follow, and that's kind of where Zionism falls into play.
Well, it's Luciferian if you really read into it.
Right. Well, I agree with that too, but I think they can't say it that way. So the Zionism movement, Zionists, everybody goes, "Oh, well, that's just Jewish. There's Jewish Zionists. You're anti-Semitic because you're saying Zionist." But
you've seen that Cronkite bit, haven't you, where he talks about standing at the right hand of Satan?
No, I haven't.
You've never heard that?
No, hold on.
Walter Cronkite. Walter Cronkite says he's with some big group of important people talking about it. Just put Satan, it'll probably come up. And he said, I can't remember what his actual, but he basically said that
glad
he was
to sit at the right. Hold on, let's see.
Glad to sit at the right hand of Satan.
World government is the structure necessary for global justice.
I don't know how old your listeners are, but Walter Cronkite was what, the most trusted man? Isn't that what they called him?
The most trusted news reporter.
Most trusted news reporter. So this is a guy that came into people's living rooms every single night, and people listened to him for the news and believed everything he said. And then he makes remarks like this.
Right, and don't forget, Patrick, they made propaganda and news illegal in the 70s, but they just recently reauthorized using propaganda in the news. So Operation Mockingbird never really died, in my opinion.
World government is the structure necessary for global justice.
I'm in a position to speak my mind, and by God, I'm going to do it. First, we Americans are going to have to yield up some of our sovereignty. That's going to be, to many, a bitter pill. Today, we must develop federal structures on a global level. To deal with world problems, we need a system of enforceable world law, a democratic federal world government. Most important, we should sign and ratify the Treaty for a Permanent International Criminal Court. Pat Robertson has written in a book a few years ago that we should have a world government, but only when the Messiah arrives. He wrote, literally, any attempt to achieve world order before that time must be the work of the devil. Well, join me. I'm glad to sit here at the right hand of Satan.
Wow. Yeah, that's
A lot of people would just go, and think nothing of that. But you heard him talking about like world government, and people love that.
There is no world government, Patrick. Stop with that. You know that that's just a conspiracy theory, that there is no new world order, and that they're not trying to build a global elite. Oh, wait, yes, they are.
Well, if you look at whatever happens here happens in the other westernized countries of the world, or it happens there first and then it comes here. Like, you can kind of see. Man, I have no idea. I would say the agenda is extermination of a lot of people. And I think
80 to 90%.
Yeah, you can see a lot of it being done. Like, I've been reading a lot of stories recently from different areas, from over in Europe, from in the United States, and they're talking about the sperm rate and the fertility rate, like how much it's declined, and it's predominantly with white people.
Here's a good comment in the chat room there. It's from J.J. Riley. He's been listening to me since we started. He used to listen to Dangerous Conversation with Ledger. He says, we always talk about PNAC and their plans that led up to now. But what do planned after that? No one ever says what's next.
That was that. If you read it, they planned the attack of all. That's kind of what Syria stuff is going on right now. Am I wrong with that? Or
I think Syria. Well, again, we're bombing 7 nations, all nations that have gone against either the gold standard or preventing oil transfer, or just working with people that they don't want them working with. Russia being one of them, Iran being another one. You know, remember, Russia and Iran are big proponents of Syria, and most of this Syrian conflict going on and the lies of the gassings and all these different things is all about a pipeline. Most people don't even realize that's what started all that is the U.S. and its allies wanting to run a pipeline through Syria and them not really wanting to cooperate.
Well, I'm aware of that, and that doesn't take much reading to find that out, I don't think.
I think one has to care just enough.
Yeah, you actually have to want to.
Well, I guess if the media would tell that they tell you to care, but they're telling you to care for the wrong people and the wrong reasons. And it's amazing how literally, like, I could just get on Twitter and Facebook and pretty much I know what the mainstream media is talking about. Because I'm friends with everybody on Facebook. I'm literally friends with people all around the world from every. This is how I'm guessing. You know, you get those suggested ads, sponsored ads.
Right.
Like, I got one the other day, and it was for this Hugh Shine guy that's running for House in Texas. I don't live in Texas, but I got a lot of friends in Texas. And it's funny. I got an ad that was for him and an ad that was against him.
At the same address.
Within like 3 postings of scrolling on Facebook, I saw those 2 ads that were against each other. And I had to laugh, and I said, I honestly think with their algorithms and stuff, I'm probably friends with tons of Republicans and Democrats down there to where...
It confused them. They didn't
know
what
what
the
I'm
hell
saying?
to do. Yep.
And I want that. All these people want an echo chamber. They're like, hey, who's the flat earthers? I want to purge my Facebook of idiots. Who believes 9/11 was an inside job? I want to purge They just want to get everybody like them. I don't want that, man. I want more people that aren't like me whatsoever because I want people just like me. Are you kidding me?
Well, we don't know all the answers, first of all. And you said that already when we started talking about 9/11. If you think you know what happened, you're just as bad as the people that buy the official story because we don't really know what happened.
Here's a good analogy. I watched this last night. You ever seen the movie Hot Fuzz? With Simon Pegg, the zombie movie?
No, I haven't.
It's one of the trilogy of, you know who Simon Pegg is? Actor? We did like a trilogy of zombie movies. And he was a London cop, and he was busting too many people, so they sent him out in the suburbs. And he goes to this place where nobody's been murdered in like 20 years. And every murder was basically an accident because they're trying to win the best village of the year for like 10 years running or something. So they actually change the murders to accidents. But anyways, he thinks he figured everything out. He thinks it's all about they're killing this person because they own this land and this business front, and there's going to be a highway coming through, and all this stuff. He figures it out. It's all about money. And the reality was they killed the lady because like her front yard was horrible and they thought it was nasty. The other person was a horrible actor and ruined Shakespeare. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you watch, and it made sense what he was saying. It was all about business. It was all about money. It was all about land and resources. But the reality of it wasn't that whatsoever. So I relate that to like the 9/11. Like we could sit there and say, and say it was for the PNX stuff and actually go and throw all this stuff over there. And it may not have been even for that.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like you honestly have no idea. I got made fun of because I say I don't know a lot.
Well, I use movies a lot, and people get frustrated when I use movies, but I honestly think, going back to the elite's religion, they have to inform the useless eaters of what they're doing, what their plans are, because that's part of their religion. They can't do it without telling us.
They suppose they get power from it.
Right, and they tell us. And
it's an honor thing, too, believe it or not.
Right, they tell us in manners that people go, that can't be what's going on. But they're telling us, like, I honestly, always go to this. Lexi gets frustrated every time I say this. Winter Soldier. You ever see Winter Soldier?
A little bit, but I'm not a fan of the Captain America, those movies. Not too much.
See, I think Winter Soldier is a good description or a good idea of what's happening right now with Trump and everything else. Basically, Winter Soldier is around Hydra, which is like the Nazis, let's say, being brought into the U.S. government back after World War II via Operation Paperclip. They even reference Operation Paperclip in the movie. And they slowly began to infiltrate all means of the political parties. And they started to get their own people growing within the U.S. government to take over everything. And that's kind of, if you watch it and you really think about it and you look at what's going on right now, it could either be that or, maybe Trump is real. Maybe, and if he is real, then I think he's going to be dead within the next 6 to 8 months. But
we kind of talked about that because Trump's actually, people are like, he's doing what the elite wants and stuff. He's actually done some things that isn't good for what the powers that be want. He actually has put a damper on some of their things, right? By withdrawing from some of the treaties and
ruining some of the organizations that everybody loves, putting people in there that are going to purposely, the Department of Education, they're going to purposely run this thing into the ground to try to eliminate it. This one here just came out. President Trump replaced the dollar with gold as the global currency to make America great again. And he didn't straight up say that, but let me read this here. Inside President Trump's otherwise standard Trump stump speech at CPAC was nestled what might be a most intriguing observation. Global cooperation, dealing with other countries, getting along with other countries is good. It's very important. But there is no such thing as a global anthem, a global currency, or a global flag. This is the United States of America that I'm representing.
See, he's actually wrong. The dollar was the global currency, but it no longer is.
It's falling apart, right?
Because people had to, based on the deal that was made with the Saudi Arabians back in the day, to buy oil, you had to trade in whatever your currency was to dollars. That was called the petrodollar, and that's where a lot of these countries have their issues. They've turned away from the petrodollar. What is it? The BRICS? What, Brazil, Russia, Iran?
Oh, when they voted
China, all them, they started trading in. Is it yuan or what do they trade? I can't remember.
I forget what it was they trade. I just read something. I wish I would have shared that story.
But that's what a lot of it is. That's where people don't realize. and back in the day, people used to hold dollars and reserves in their banks all around the world, man. You can go look it up. And I don't know 5 years ago? It's been within the past decade. They really started replacing those dollars with gold.
Right. Well,
real, actual something that has substance to it, not a piece of paper with different digits.
And unfortunately, we all try to figure out, let's buy some gold to, protect ourselves. But unfortunately, it's really the amounts that we could buy as regular human beings, as regular citizens, is never going to be comparable to what the government's already own.
I have an ounce. I'm diversified in many ways, and I have 1 ounce gold that I cannot wait to get. I want to get rid of it so bad because I bought into some of that stuff, like, oh, you need that to trade. Really? What am I going to trade an ounce of gold for?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I'm probably getting clubbed over the head, and somebody's taking that.
What was it? Silver coins.
We got some silver coins,
so
we ended
it's,
up
like,
losing.
Broken down small.
Yeah, I would rather even just junk silver, dude. I still, if I see a pre-82 penny, I put it to the side, man. I still collect the pre-82 pennies for their silver content.
I didn't know there was
or
silver.
not silver. I'm sorry, copper.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
pre-82, and then the nickels, I believe they still are made with copper. So if you just keep any nickel, it's worth about, I don't know. Copper was a lot more than it is now, but they used to be like 3 cents. I don't know if you know that 1 penny that was pre-82.
Imagine that.
Yeah, they were selling them on eBay. I'd sold some on eBay, man. I would go to the bank and buy a $25 box and actually go through it. People have sorters that they use, but most of them are almost all out of circulation. Same with like the silver.
I wish I would have known that years ago, because I used to have a whole thing of pennies. My ex got rid of that, though, when we were broke.
It was funny. Who was president when they went? It wasn't Nixon. It was, I guess it was when they went off that. I think it was Johnson put out a warning. He told people to not be saving their silver coins. I can't remember what the reason was. He acted like it would be bad for the economy or something, because people started hoarding them. They knew what was going on, and 1 quarter, what was it, 64 or 65 when they stopped using the silver?
So, yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
1 quarter a few years ago from then was worth like $8-9.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
Just 1 quarter, man. I bought some from a lady, and she had a chick that was staying with her that was a server, and she needed change. So she took a bunch of those old silver quarters, and she said, "Don't worry, I'll replace them." The lady's like, "Oh my gosh, you just
took all my good."
Could you imagine that?
No,
but yeah, people were smart, and they knew, like. So I'm saying, man, you can.
We're not smart anymore, though. That's
no. People don't care. Well, they're slaves, man. They want everything done for them. Like I have chickens, and some people look at us like we're weird.
Oh, you should meet her father. We'll have to take you down to Salties one time, Sonny. Where'd you come from? Salty. Cats don't bother, do you?
I'm allergic to them, but here's your modern medicine. I had strep throat, bronchitis every single year, allergic to cats, had cats my whole entire life, and the doctors nor my parents knew that.
Oh, jeez.
Isn't that nice? I took antihistamines, all this stuff. Moved to Florida and thought it was the weather. Got around animals the first time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm allergic to animals. And then people wonder why I don't trust doctors.
Right.
That's just one of many reasons.
So you're not a big pharmaceutical guy.
Nah, man, I'm like so anti-pharmaceutical. I think dude, pharmakia, that's not good. Like most of the things they take that for pharmaceuticals, they take something from nature and they tweak it like one molecule.
Yeah, so
a lot of things they could use the actual thing from nature. Or I don't want to sound like a hippy dippy and whatnot, but like seriously, like THC, the cannabinoids are so good for people in so many ways, and hemp too, man. I wish all these environmentalists, instead of calling for government to do something, would start advocating for hemp.
Oh, absolutely. Keep in mind that part of the reason why marijuana is illegal now is because of the textile industry.
Oh, if you go back and read about Hearst,
our first flag was made out of hemp. The first American flag was made out of hemp.
And it bothers me. Like I try to use the word cannabis because that's the actual name of the plant, and people want to do the dumbed down version, marijuana, which came from the Spaniards, the Mexicans, and they like demonized them. Watch Reefer Madness if anybody hasn't ever watched. That's hilarious. It's the funniest thing, man. Like keep playing. And she runs and jumps out the window. Come on, man.
I got into this old movie thing this past weekend, and I watched the original Manchurian Candidate.
Oh, wow. I don't even know how old that would be.
Frank Sinatra was in it. It came out. It was based around the Korean War, so that gives you a good time frame. But it was real. You've seen the modern Manchurian Candidate, haven't you?
No, I never watched that.
That was a good movie, man. But it goes. Emulsifier, thank you. Helping to distribute Gatorade's coloring throughout the bottle. Carter said.
You were never a guest on Sesame Street, were you?
No. I was on the Muppets once though when I was a kid. They did a live Muppets show. They used to do them. Dave, you
really?
Yeah, they used to do them back in the 80s. Do you remember it? It was actually a show on TV. And it was
sorry to derail your story, but
that's
hilarious.
Self-derailed.
Which is usually how it happens. Anyway, where was I? So now the company, help through color, Carter said. Now the company is swapping in another emulsifier.
Oh, there's that word again. Emulsifier.
That word, emulsifier.
Things that mix things up.
Yeah.
I don't know this word, so I'll just make one up.
You know, you think I know that because we use that a lot in culinary when I was in culinary school. Yeah. You know, because you emulsified stuff a lot. I think it's just because it's emulsifier. It's confusing.
You still practice that technique.
I think it's the marijuana.
No, I don't do that kind of stuff. Never. With another emulsifier.
Dave.
Hey, it's always great to be on the first 52 with Sean Ras for Toad and Lexy. That sounds like shit. What am I? Give me a script here. Come on, I can't do this. You're putting me under pressure. Bob, don't worry about it here. And
Dr. Bob.
Dr. Bob, yeah.
It's Dr. Bob Tuscan.
It's Bob Tuscan, and you're listening to the First 52 on Ras Radio with my buddies Sean Ras and Lexy Ras and that guy Four Toad.
It's too.
Emulsifier, thank you. Helping to distribute Gatorade's coloring throughout the bottle. Carter. Emulsifier, thank you. Helping to distribute Gatorade's coloring throughout the bottle. Carter said.
You were never a guest on Sesame Street, were you?
No. I was on the Muppets once though when I was a kid. They did a live Muppets show. They used to do them. Dave, you
really?
Yeah, they used to do them back in the 80s. Do you remember it? It was actually a show on TV. And it was
sorry to derail your story,
that's
but
not hard
that's
to do,
hilarious.
Self-derailed.
Which is usually how it happens. Anyway, where was I? So now the company, help through color. Carter said. Now the company is swapping in another emulsifier.
Oh, there's that word again. Emulsifier.
That word, emulsifier.
Things that mix things up.
Yeah.
I don't know this word, so I'll just make one up.
You know, you think I know that because we use that a lot in culinary when I was in culinary school. Yeah. You know, because you emulsified stuff a lot. I think it's just because it's emulsifier. It's confusing.
You still practice that technique.
I think it's the marijuana.
No, I don't do that kind of stuff. Never. With another emulsifier. Facebook.com, Twitch.tv/Sean Ras 1. Make sure you check it out. Watch us, watching us, watch you, watch me, watching all of us. I had to play that. Comfortable Tech 9, pointing out our buddy Bubba Love Sponge. You guys know I'm a big Bubba fan, so hey, I had to give some love for him, giving some love to Bubba. It's pretty cool, I must say. So, let me see. I got some things written down to cover on this next round. Patrick, Stanhope, awesome. I enjoyed that, and I had heard that one section of it before. I don't know if I told you that or not. The license part?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did hear that. I think it's in a song, actually. That whole thing about the fish. I've heard that somewhere. I can't remember where the hell I've heard that, though.
It's a great little rant.
Yeah, it's awesome. I really enjoyed that stand. I love stand-up. That's one thing Lexi and I, we try to every few months, maybe once a month, maybe once every other month, we got a local comedy of Visani's down here. I don't know if you've ever played there or even heard of it. But they've got a lot of big stars they brought through there. Food's awesome. We try to make a date night every few weeks to go there, every 6-8 weeks, something like that.
Yeah. No, I know about Visani, but you have to be cleaner than a lot of people like.
You guys said that when I was up there with you in the beginning of the month.
I think when you're a headliner, though, I think they're a little bit different.
Have we ever seen a clean show there, honey?
No.
We've never seen a clean show there, man.
No.
I swear.
I can't think of a show that
Can
was
you name
clean.
one or two people you remember seeing?
Or like not name people.
Yeah, we don't remember names really, dude.
The one we're going to see this weekend. Let me pull him up.
We're going to see somebody this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, is that this
Caitlin
weekend?
and James wanted to go see.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's a big guy, too. I forget who it is because we couldn't use our free tickets that we got.
Like a fat guy or a...
The last guy we saw was a guy out of Orlando, black guy out of Orlando. He was on...
Ken Miller?
No, he was
Preacher
on
Lawson?
America. He was on America's Got Talent.
That's the guy that's coming up this
I know
weekend.
Preacher.
We're going to see him this weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think that's who that. I think that's who's
pretty
going to
sure,
be
yeah,
there
let me
this
double
weekend.
check.
Did they buy the tickets yet, honey?
That's either somebody we saw or who we're going to see this weekend.
Yeah, that was big for him, man, going out there. I tell everybody when they go out there, don't come back. Because everybody I know that's gone out there has come back. But
How long
I didn't think Preacher would be coming back this way other than to do shows.
How long you been doing stand-up, Patrick?
It's approaching 5 years.
5 years?
Yes.
You enjoy it?
Sometimes.
Is that the only thing you do? Do you do other side jobs?
No,
or?
I mean, I'd have different ways of making money, but that's my main source of income right now, yes.
Nice.
Yeah, so it is Preacher Lawson this weekend.
Cool. Yeah, Preacher. His brother just moved out to L.A. There's a lot of people that just moved out to L.A. recently that I know, and we'll see what happens. I don't think any of them are going to top what Preacher's going to do, but because he's
pretty good then.
If crowds love him, I'll just say that. I'm not as big of a fan of him, but he's a good comic, and you guys will enjoy yourself. I would imagine he'll be in movies sooner than later. I would think.
Nice.
Because he's a nice guy, man, and he works hard. Like a lot of those people that remember Dat Fan. I don't know if you know that name back in the day. I think he was one of the first people to win the I can't remember the comic show, Last Comic Standing.
Okay, yeah.
And he literally had a good 8 minutes or something that was really, really good and funny, and he won that. And a lot of people that win those, they've been doing it forever, man. You know what I'm saying? So he went out on the road and he didn't have the legs to do it. It was kind of embarrassing for him. Whereas Preacher's really put in the work and.
Well, it's not an easy thing to do.
I mean, it's hard, man. And you talk about self-starters and being totally your own person, kind of.
What was the Tom Hanks movie from the 80s?
Punchline with Sally Field.
Yeah. That was a great movie.
It's horrible for comedy, though, if you go, that's not a good representation.
But is that what it's like at all?
It's been so long since I've seen it, man. Go watch Seinfeld's Comedian if you want to see a lot what it's about. And go watch Heckler. Jamie Kennedy has a good movie called Heckler where he went out, because he's been bashed a lot, if you know who Jamie Kennedy is. He's not the most person for some of his different movies and just thinks he's done. And he did a Heckler movie who he went out and found people that bashed him online and different things, and it was interesting.
He brought him in and had a routine for them, or just talk to them.
What's up? Why would you? Some of these people.
Them.
Yeah, doing just the few months I've been doing the radio, it's amazing. We have a listener that said that that I'm probably one of the people she's disliked. She hasn't disliked anybody else more than me. Basically, is what she said.
Wow, that's
and
nice.
I just laughed, and I was like, do you not read the news? Like,
Yeah, what did I do?
yeah, I was like, what did I do, man? I have a couple opinions. Like, it's interesting.
It's amazing, dude. I've gotten so much hate in my period. I've been doing the radio thing here now for 5 years on my own station and my show. But I worked with other people prior to that, and I've received so much hate, man. It's just unbelievable the amount of hate I've got over the past 5-6 years.
People
Well,
like
I've
to
done
hate.
it. My dad's a coach and a teacher, so I literally got it from students, people I went to school with, people that are older than me, parents. Like, I dealt with stuff my whole life. That's why I laugh that some of these listeners on our radio show, they like think that they like bother me. Like, it's funny. It's like, dude, I've been homeless. I chose to be homeless for a little while, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's not much. Like, I'm a dad. I'm gonna be a grandpa like in a couple months. Not a couple months, a couple weeks. Like,
Oh, I didn't know that. Is that
yeah,
new
like,
news?
you know what I'm saying? Like, I've done so many different jobs. I've lived all kinds of different places. Like, I've dealt with so much crap, and they think a couple like little jabs are gonna like bother me. It's so weird, man. Like, yeah, as I said, I'm bothered at more human behavior, and like, and a lot of that is just the sheep mentality.
Well, are you excited about becoming a grandpa, Patrick? Because you know I'm a grandpa. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my granddaughter's will be 3 in May.
I don't really think about it, man. Just kind of like when we were having our first child, I was 20 or whatever, and I really didn't think
Right.
about it too much. Like, I don't. So I said, man, I've been to jail, but like, you know, like I got pulled over with those speeding tickets, and I said, here's one. I had a 9mm put in my face for speeding on I-4. Honestly, like, the cop ran up. He was old, and he put his 9 in my face, and I said, like, my countenance didn't change at all. I don't know if I'm like a psychopath, you know what I'm saying? But most people, if they've had a gun put in their face, would be freaking out. And I literally, like, my countenance didn't change. I was still the same.
They shouldn't be allowed to do that. That kind of stuff bothers me.
Oh, yeah.
It just drives me nuts.
He claimed, I didn't know what you were doing jumping around in there. I'm like, I know that's not protocol as soon as you pull somebody over to jump out of your car and run up to their. All I was doing, I just leaned over to get my stuff out of my glove compartment. I have dark tinted windows, man.
You didn't wait for him to tell you what to do, Patrick. What's wrong with you?
And he yelled, he goes.
He need to have authority to tell you what to do.
Dude, I was just leaning over to get my stuff, and I hear, hands on the steering wheel, and I look over, and he's got his 9mm in my face, and I was like, I held my hands up, and I was like, and he yelled again, hands on the steering wheel. I was like, dude, I'm just getting my registration.
Well, you didn't have the smell of weed bellowing out of the window, did you?
No, I didn't. But
Okay.
I was actually going to some libertarian convention in Orlando. I can't even remember what it was, but I think maybe it was my Ron Paul bumper sticker.
Yeah,
That's
that
what
you know
freaked him out.
they did rate
Oh,
that.
back
yeah.
in the day,
Yeah.
that was one of those.
You were a terrorist back in the day.
That was who was it?
the
I can't remember what it-
not Massachusetts, Missouri. It was a thing from Missouri. It was a Missouri watch for extremists.
Yeah, Ron Paul.
Ron Paul bumper stickers having the Constitution. I've got a pocket Constitution sitting right here, right in front of me.
Terrorist.
That's
document.
a terrorist document right there. So's that flag.
He gets a gun pointed in his face for that. Yet, back when and this was about 10 years back, I was pregnant with Mikey, very pregnant, and I was in cosmetology school. And part of our homework was taking home these mannequin heads, and we had to wrap them at night and bring them back. So right before we would leave to go home, we'd take all the rollers out, and the hair would be damp, and we'd put all the heads in this big clear bag.
Like a trash bag, like
and
a
there
big
would
trash.
probably be
clear
like
trash
10
bag.
heads in there, and I just threw it in the back seat. And
Inside a duffel bag.
And we had just come back from a trip in Jacksonville, and every time we'd go up there, Sean would throw the handgun in the glove box. So I got pulled over for speeding, and he pulls me over and he said, "What's your hurry?" And I was like, I gotta pee, and I'm pregnant." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he's like looking in the back seat. And he's like, "What's that?" And I was like, "They're heads." And he's like, "Right. All right. Well," and then he asked for my license and registration. I said, I got a gun in the glove box. I don't know if I should just tell you that now so that so it's not a shock to you." Mm-hmm. He's like, "Okay. Well, put it on the seat and just sit tight." And he walked halfway to his car, and then he walked back, and he was like, just just go home. And just
He's like, my
shoved
shift's
me off.
almost over.
Go away now.
I don't want to deal with
Fucking
this.
It's like
weird.
at 6:30. It's almost 7. I don't want to paperwork,
like,
dude. I can't even. How am I gonna? There's not even a box to check for this.
I should have this
Heads
set up
in
at
the
all
back seat.
times.
No, DJ, I didn't leave it in the dryer too long. I've gained a lot of weight. I'm being asked on the chat over here in Twitch.
Well, I'm glad I didn't wear my shirt. I had my
you're
wife
sitting
help
there
me.
trying to be proactive. And
Dude, I was in a hurry, and I said, hey, go pick out an outfit for me. And she picked out a shirt that she likes. And, dude, it was so wrinkled. I'm like, I'm not going to wear that, man. Like, I actually care a little bit. Like, wrinkles,
I look like I'm wearing a medium because this shirt used to fit me large, and I've gained like 45 pounds over the past 2 years. So, like, none of my clothes fit me right, and I've been slowly trying to buy new clothes to replace the stuff that doesn't fit me. And this was the only kind of neat shirt I could find to wear tonight. You know,
DJ's cool, though. He's one of the cool listeners.
Yeah, he is. He came over here from Bubba Army, and he's interacted with us a few times, and I enjoy all my listeners. You know, I'm a small little guy. I don't get the numbers that Bubba does. You know, you get 200-300 people when you're on the Rob Show on Twitch. We got, what, 10?
Those are people watching. I would love to know how many are actually listening.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you can find that information out.
Oh, I'm sure with technology, but I don't know about it there.
I wanted to ask you, I know, again, I'm just a little guy. What do you think of my studio here? I mean, for a little home
It's cool,
studio.
man. Dude, I told you I've been listening to podcasts since like 2005, so I've seen all kinds of different home studios, and it's amazing dude, you can make a living doing what you're doing right there. Now, it's obviously going to take you a while to where you could get to where you're making an income, and but like, it's amazing that's what I love about a lot of this stuff nowadays is cutting out the corporate people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the greatest things about it.
But then I know if I hear you like stamps.com, I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, Raz is sold out.
I would never go that way. Uh-oh, Sherry's on, or Shelly's on.
I see that.
Sherry Berry, or Sherry Bush.
Yeah, Sherry's Berries. There's another one that advertises on every podcast.
Well, that's on Bubba. Even Bubba advertises.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Oh, Sherry's Berries. Ooh,
he had Sherry's Berries for a long time.
St. Patrick's Day is coming up.
We don't have a promo code yet, Patrick.
Let me think if I delivered flowers, man. Like it's amazing the different holidays that people buy flowers on, and they need help.
Yeah, Manson, his wife owns a flower shop up in the area there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't know. I remember Manson from back in the day when I listened on 98 Rock, and I haven't listened for a while. I always liked him, and then I saw he's been with his wife for like 35 years.
Something like that. Yeah,
amazing, man.
Yeah, they've been together forever. I wanted to play this one video here I got pulled up. I just thought this was kind of cool, and it talks about how they used to try to figure things out in the past.
Just after a cyclone had hit up north, and we had quite a lot of rain up in Lancelin and Wedge Island, and as we were wandering around, we noticed there was a tremendous amount of rubbish on the ground, which is really disappointing. The dunes are pristine, and there was rubbish everywhere.
Rubbish everywhere.
And I simply decided to take some rubbish home, and I bent down and picked it up, and it was at my feet.
We got word from the German Meteorological Society that they'd found the actual journal that the captain had filled out on the day amongst their 39,000 journals, and there it said, bottle thrown overboard, 12th of June 1886. And at that point, we realised it was real.
So these folks found a Scotch bottle on the beach in Australia, and it was what they used to do. This was a German experiment in the 1800s, and what they would do is they would put these bottles. If you're on Twitch, you can see a picture of the bottle. They would put these bottles with these logs inside of them of what ship it was, what the position was when it was thrown overboard, and they would put a copy of that log into a book. And what they would do is they would ask people to find, when they found it, to mail them where they found it. And they were using this as a form to understand the currents of the water back in the early 1900s. I just thought that was really intriguing. This bottle is from 18. What did she say?
Didn't work out too well.
Well, no, because they found the logbook that had the matching. If you go through the story here, they actually found the captain's journal. The colleagues compared handwriting samples from the form and the captain's entry in Paul's meteorological journal. Extraordinary finds need extraordinary evidence. So they actually found the entry of this exact bottle being thrown over the ship. I just think that's amazing that they were able to put it all together. I had to come off the conspiracy thing because I just felt that was a really neat story.
I think that's interesting. But where is this being logged, and where they can you know what I'm saying? Where they could actually do something scientific from it, like where. Like, was there a main place that, like, hey, this needs to be?
Yeah. On the back of the message, ask the finder to write when and where the bottle had been found, and return it either to German Naval Observatory in Hamburg or the nearest German consulate. So the German Naval what's that word, hon? Observatory in Hamburg is where the logs were turned in. I would assume. When the ship returned in, that travel's log was turned in with when the bottle was thrown. I just think it's amazing. It's just, I mean, think about.
I mean, it's neat, but I don't know what good it's going to do them, is the point.
Well, I mean, where was it? It was thrown out.
I think somebody in government was creating positions for themselves back in the day. Hey, let's
Yeah, between
put stuff in a bottle and throw it out. I'll collect it.
Between 1864 until 1933, thousands of bottles were thrown overboard from German ships. Each contained a form on which the captain would write the date, the ship's coordinates, and details about its route. They did this to get a better understanding.
They were just drunks, and that's how they were getting rid of it. They're like, we really can't be just tossing this. Okay, we're gonna put pieces of paper in it. Dude, I worked with a guy that was in the Navy, and he said they used to throw bags of trash out the back of ships.
Yep. Oh, I've heard that before too.
And he said it was dude. They loved it. He said trash day was the greatest day a week, and you would actually see just a sea of floating trash bags. But yet, these idiots, the leftists, they want to go get government involved to actually take care of stuff when they've been the people that are helping pollute or allowing the pollution.
Government is the largest polluter. You know, my normal co-host, Four-Toed, Dave Cunningham, him and I have this argument constantly about chemtrails. And he'll admit that the U.S. government and the Navy are some of the biggest polluters, but can't believe that the government would actually use some kind of program to pollute the skies to try to maybe stop global warming, or, you know, cause the need for an aluminum-resistant seed, or, I don't know, maybe just kill us all because that's what they really want. Patrick, your thoughts on chemtrails?
Well, we already talked about it when you came on the Rob show, but, I mean, if you're older than what, would you say 35 maybe? That you should know, because if you've looked up any time your entire life, the skies are way different. I noticed it, man, in like the mid-'90s. Well, I noticed that the contrails started remaining longer across the sky. And I said, here's the same thing, like with 9/11. Like, if you think you know what happened, I think you're crazy. With the chemtrails, regardless of what you think, you can look and see stuff comes out of planes and it spreads across the sky and it creates cloud cover.
Yep.
That can't be good. Regardless, there's no way that's just water vapor. I live where the planes fly over. I'm on the flight path from the Tampa airport. And, dude, I watch it, man. I watch planes, commercial planes, fly over all the time with nothing hardly coming out, or it's, it looks like a few feet behind it up in the sky. But then you see the ones flying way higher. I don't. What do you get down here? Like, I don't know.
Oh, they're horrible here. We have a specific pattern. I could show you thousands of photos I've taken and videos I've taken of the planes coming. And you know where, if you walked out my front door and looked to where you pulled into the apartment complex, right over there, there's this perfect spot where they can constantly come in and curve. And they'll curve over, and there'll be lines that just come in and curve over. And then every once in a while they'll curve the other way out towards sea. And it's not constant. It's not all the time. We might go a month or two where I don't see that, and then all of a sudden it starts up again.
Periods, man. It's weird, and I'm friends with people worldwide that post pictures from different areas, and yeah, some places get it bad, man, and in other places, I don't think it's as bad. And then it's weird though, like it's right above your head. How you can deny that? And then if you just go start looking into the geoengineering and different things, like I love that they're coming out now and they're like, here's something we could do. Basically telling you what's already being done. Like,
right.
But they're saying they could do it. But geoengineering is real. You can at least go read that.
And it's funny because everybody will go, well, we did cloud seed in Vietnam, and we know that there's cloud seeding. So you think from 1963, 4 to now they haven't come up with new technology to do it better.
They made it rain in the Dubai desert.
Yeah, and they made it snow for the Olympics a few years ago.
Yeah, they do all that. You can go look at the Air Force, the owning of the weather.
In 2020.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
the
talk
weather
about
by
all
2025.
that stuff.
I'm sorry. I
They
think it's
talk
20.
about that, how they literally want to control. There was a video back in the day of these group of scientists, some type, I don't know what they were, but they talked about should they steer Hurricane Katrina away from New Orleans or not. They actually, there was a video. I don't know if that's on YouTube anymore. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's from the beginning of what in the world are they spraying?
Oh, really? See, I watched the actual, just straight up the video of it. Like, and yeah, they talked about steering Katrina.
Well, they were talking about the what do they call it? If you do something and you, what word am I looking for, honey? That's your job.
You have to finish out some more of your thought process.
My part of my wife's job is to help me think.
More so
Patrick.
than if you do something.
Yeah. Basically, what they were saying is, if we do this and we steer it away from New Orleans, and let's say we steer it towards Mississippi, and we save the life of 3,000 people in New Orleans, but we kill 100 people in Mississippi. How is that? How do we make that decision? How do we have the authority to make that decision? Is basically what they were saying. Is that what you're thinking, Patrick?
Yeah, that's what they talked about. They talked about. My whole point is they talk about steering a hurricane. Like that's insane.
That
they
is
can
go. That's the whole point. Yeah.
Yeah, regardless if they're just that they could steer a hurricane is
now
insane.
whether or not that the chemicals that are being used or material that's being used is actually being used to poison us or not is another story. And I'm not so sure that could really necessarily be proven. I mean, weather manipulation, I think, definitely is going on, for sure. I don't know how you could deny that. I just don't know if I'm grabbing on your stance of that it's all toxic and it's being done as a means.
Well, I think a lot of it is corporations, dude. They need to dump their toxic byproducts somewhere, and it's amazing. They're allowed to basically poison us through law. I bet you that when it comes
Wouldn't
out...
it be easier to just dump it off in the ocean, though? Or in some sort of riverbed somewhere?
Well, that used to do that back in the day. Like, they used to dump their fluoride, their hydrofluorosilicic acid in there.
Spray it in the sky.
I don't know, man. That's what I'm saying. There's more than just a poisoning. It's probably multiple reasons, but... Like, here's what I love, is they're eventually going to tell us that they're doing that they're geoengineering the planet is for global warming. And a lot of these people that denied it and said you're a moron for believing that will now come out and defend that. Which is just insane that you can't... Like, we talked about Edward Bernays. I don't know if you heard that when we did this show. Raz, did you hear that?
I'm sorry.
Edward Bernays?
What about... I was getting a call for work, so I was just checking that real fast.
Well, we just talked about Edward Bernays, and he literally wrote a book called Propaganda.
Right.
Goebbels used that over... The Nazis used his propaganda techniques, and it's been used on the people of the United States. But one of the things they've done throughout history is, he helped Woodrow Wilson with World War I do the... Wilson ran under the motto of he kept us out of the war. Well... Bernays came up with this thing of keeping the world safe for democracy. That was kind of from Bernays, and they've used that, how many times? Spreading democracy around the world. And he started with the fearing the communist presence in different areas and the Ruskies. How long's that been being done? Dude, that was done with the banana republics back in the day, like Guatemala and all that.
Think about how many governments the U.S. has interjected in or caused what they wanted, the results they wanted. And we're sitting here screaming and yelling about the Russians being involved in our election, but yet we put Saddam Hussein in place. Look what we did in the 40s to Iran.
Dude, just look at Gaddafi recently.
Gaddafi.
They have slave auctions over there now in Libya.
Yeah, well,
Did you hear about that? Like,
I
he
saw
kind of kept order and stuff, and dude, I'm sure there were some people mistreated. I'm gonna guess that's just the way it is. Just like in this country, I feel like I'm mistreated, man. I'm thrown in cages for possessing the flowers from a plant. How am I? I truly believe this, man. I'm part of one of the most discriminated groups on the planet, being a cannabis partaker. Because, dude, you seriously get thrown in cages.
Well, you just got to not let them know, Patrick. I mean...
But that's the thing, though. Like, there's so many people that do it, and they get pulled over for speeding or a taillight out or all these different things, and they get arrested for something. We're like, they should be thankful we're nonviolent. Could you imagine if all the cannabis partakers would get thrown in cages for unjust law? Like if we were violent? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we would. Unfortunately for us, we'll never be violent because that's just not what we are. I'm going to play something for you, Patrick. I don't know if you ever saw this. This is former FBI Chief Ted Gunderson. Does the name sound familiar at all?
Yeah, I know.
He's passed away recently, a few years ago.
Death dumps, otherwise known as chemical trails, are being dropped and sprayed throughout the United States, in England, Scotland, Ireland, Northern Europe, and I have personally seen them not only in the United States but in Mexico and Canada. Birds are dying around the world. Fish are dying by the hundreds of thousands around the world. This is genocide. This is poison. This is murder by the United Nations. This element within our society that's doing this must be stopped.
He died very shortly after he put this out, too. I've used his stuff in videos I've put out before. I used to do these chemtrail videos, Patrick. If you go to my YouTube channel, Sean Ras 1.
Oh, dude, I used to go out and like record them, and like I'd talk to people out and about when they were being sprayed and like record it and stuff. Like,
yeah,
dude, I went out. Here's what I said. Like back when Al Qaeda was all crazy and everybody's worried about it. Oh my gosh, fear, fear, fear. I went out one Black Friday, and I said, what better day to go if you were Al Qaeda, ISIS? You know what I'm saying? The gluttony of Americans. And not so much now with online, but remember, like, Best Buy would have the lines outside those doors for, like, dude, weeks.
Yeah.
For Black Friday.
I never was a participant of that.
It's amazing. Like, and I was like, dude, these people line up. They're there. Where are the terrorists? Like, why not go kill them?
Here's the worst people you can
exactly.
think
like,
of.
you want to,
How
that
about
would be the
target
epitome.
that?
And it would be, they could just drive along and, like, kill so many at a time. Like, think of those black, like, they just, oh my gosh, so much carnage could be done today. But anyways, I was at Toys R Us, and I was recording. I asked this lady, I go, don't you feel unsafe? There's no security out here. Like, without Kai, she goes, I'm security. And I was like, come on, man. And then she goes, there's security out here. You just don't see it. They're hiding. I was like, oh, yeah, Jeffrey the giraffe's going to, like, propel down the side of Toys R Us and save you. But, yeah, she was more bothered by me recording her out in public than me actually, like,
and people don't understand the laws to that you have no right to privacy in public. It's just the end of the world. It's the end of the story. Sorry about your luck.
Yeah, you're out in public. Sorry if you don't like it.
Even cops don't get that.
It ain't like I had it in her face. I was just recording as I was going along. But, yeah, that just made me laugh. There's security's here, and they're... Oh, you saw down with the shooting down there. It doesn't even matter if you have security and authorities called, 39 times on that kid? That's what I'm saying. Like, people are like, hey, government, take the guns and this and that. And, like, well, what more could have been done down there?
Oh, the cops could have did their job, for starters. They could have went in when they was shooting like they should have.
What about these? Dude, people are calling these kids heroes, right? All the kids that are going to speaking out.
Right.
Where were they when this kid was being bullied in school?
Well, why didn't they stand up for him?
Exactly. Like, they're like, hey, man, look at them. They're out there. This is the future. Those are the ones that helped cause the problem.
Yep, they picked on him.
They picked on him, man. Dude, I wasn't like that in school. Seriously, I told you, like, being a coach's son and a teacher's son, I got picked on like crazy, man. So I actually had a heart and empathy for people. Like, dude, people would haze people playing sports. You know what I'm saying? I never got into it. Like, I never understood it. Dude, I remember being young, people like, let's go de-pants them and stuff after football practice. I'm like, isn't that a little bit homosexual, in nature? Like, I don't have...
And it was, but you think about, I would never want to be in school now.
No.
It's terrifying. In fact, if I can figure out a way to get my son not in the public school system, I'm going to do it. But everything's social media now. I mean, if you're going to be humiliated, it's going to be broadcasted. It's going to be...
though.
Nationwide. You can't hide from that. You can't, it's everything times 10 now.
And they'll bully people online. So people have been bullying on Facebook. They kill themselves, and then they want to go blame the bullies. They don't have to be friends.
Right.
I don't like when that stuff comes about, man. I'm seriously, like, if my child was harassed online, I would look at them like, why are you still friends with this person? You should not be friends with them, so they're not posting on your stuff.
Yep.
And The teachers are bad though. My daughter's in 7th grade in a public school, and she has to deal with a teacher that like posts things with them on Instagram and like wants to do different things. And like, yeah, my daughter's such a good kid, and she got a referral the other day. And like, yeah, my children know like if they get in trouble at school and it's not for like really something that they did wrong, they're never going to get in trouble at home. So
we're kind of the same way for the most part.
The teachers threaten them. I'm going to call your parents, and my kids are like, go ahead. Like they don't. My son got kicked out of school last period. The bell rang, and he went to leave, and the teacher stepped in front of the door, and he's like, will you please move so I can go home? And she was like, you don't leave until I say you leave. And he was like, what do you have the bells for? And he turned around to the class, and he goes, why are you all sitting there? He goes, let's go home.
Right.
She said he was trying to incite a riot.
No, he was trying to go home because the bell rang and said it's time to go home.
Exactly. So I went in and I argued against the principal. They had to bring in one of their the security guy on campus, and I ended up getting kicked out.
I can imagine.
I got kicked out of the high school going to picking up my son. But Raz, let me say this really quick. My children go to a private school. You want me to talk about this? They go to a private school. It's a private Christian school, and it's been really good, man. Like they get a lot of grounding there. They do tons more work than in the public schools. By the time they get into the junior high and the public school, they're so far ahead of their classmates. But anyways, at this private Christian school, I noticed they got these like, they're probably like 7 feet tall and like 2 feet wide. These big like banner things, and they have different superheroes on them: Batman, Wonder Woman, Iron Man, and they have Bible verses related to that character. So Iron Man, they have the Bible verse of like put on the full armor of God, and it goes through all the different things you're supposed to wear. They're attributing that to Iron Man. There was a Batman one about something about secrets, or I can't remember what it was, but I'm like, that is the actual definition of blasphemy, right? In a roundabout way, like, and I'm like, am I the only one that sees this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I go in there, and I never consider myself a Christian ever, but I believed a lot of that stuff, but I never said I was a Christian because, that's not his name.
They're so
Jesus
grasping
Christ
at straws and trying to relate, and I'm sorry, that's not going to relate.
Yes,
right, they're trying to get the attention of the kid with something that they think they're going to get.
And here's my thinking
fall
is,
out of the whole premise of the initial thought in the first
They've
place.
looked at all them as superheroes the whole life. One person. That's why I hate the superhero movies too. It's always one person is the answer. I guess you got the Avengers and now they're working together. But most movies we get, it's one person, right? And he's the hero. And just sit back and let them do everything. Like, well, in the Christian world, that one person's supposed to either be God or his son. I don't know which one you want to worship.
I don't know. I get confused with all that stuff anyway.
But you know what I'm saying? It would be one, like, you'd one of those not looking toward Iron Man. Like, really?
I'm looking at a guy in a robot suit, and that's supposed to be God? That's supposed to be something leading me down the road?
And that's where I got with the whole, we've never done Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, any of that. And I didn't want to lie to my children, but I also did that, man. If I'm going to teach them anything with a God being or anything like that,
right?
Why would they believe that when they can't truly physically see it? The same as like all these other things. You know what I'm saying? They're going to find out Santa Claus is fake.
Well, Mikey called us out, what, 2 years ago? He called us out. Well, he didn't call us out, but he kind of just asked. He said, "Is Santa Claus? I don't think Santa Claus is real." And I looked at him and I said, "You know what? You're right. He's not." So
yeah, I found my Santa Claus presents about a month before Christmas, a couple weeks, 4th grade, or not 4th grade, 4 years old. I remember finding them in a closet and playing with them. I opened them up and played with them, and then Christmas morning, a lot of them were for Santa Claus, and I was like, "What?" Like I knew, you know what I'm saying? I found out, discovered my parents were lying to me, and I never wanted my children to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because why would they? Honestly, you believe in Santa Claus and you guys fake. Why would you ever believe in a God as you get older? It's all. That's what I said, man. Christians that go along with all that stuff, and even if you know about it, just the whole where Christmas comes from.
You'd think you'd really,
and Easter and all of it's pagan stuff.
And I'm glad we didn't follow through with it, and definitely, push that to let him make his own decision. Of course, we had to have the conversation. You can't let other kids know this. You can't, you have to kind of go with the, because it's not right for him to do that either.
We basically said don't be a dick and
Yeah.
go, Santa isn't real.
Don't
and
ruin it for everybody else.
destroy-
Yeah.
My middle daughter wanted to tell people, kind of like
I'm
she
sure.
was like,
let me ruin it for everyone.
No, she's not that.
That's
she
exciting.
Thinks, she thinks they're being lied to. That's you know what I'm saying. She's more that way, like
lies.
Yeah,
Don't be
she
lied.
didn't like that. You know what I'm saying? She thinks like,
You've
come
been
on, man. they're-
deceived, people.
I'm pretty sure this is probably JT. JT, is that you?
That's me.
How you doing, buddy? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Sitting here with me is my wife Lexy and Patrick Welsh. I don't know if he was on Rob's
I talked
show.
to you the other day, JT, when you called in the Rob show.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I was harassing Rob like I usually do.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
he just ignores me. But
So basically, I invited you to swing by for a little bit here tonight. We wanted to introduce you to the station first of all. Welcome to Raz Radio. You'll be starting You'll be starting your show this week on the station, 7 to 9 Sunday nights. Just give us an idea of what we're in for. I'll be honest, I haven't really listened to your show, but
It's okay.
I like to have content. So tell my listeners and everybody sitting here what we're in for.
we're trying to be funny, I guess. I got Muff Mike on my show. He's a good friend of mine, and he helps with the content. And we do bits with him, and fake commercials, silly stuff. We just try to be creative and different in our approach. We have celebrities from the dead call in, shit like that.
That sounds
I don't
interesting.
know.
Yeah,
it's a shitty show. It's just we're new at this. We don't know.
We call it the Two Idiot Podcast, right? Is that what the name of the show is?
It's Two Idiots versus the World.
Two Idiots versus the World. That's it. That's right. So,
are you guys actual comics yourself? Are you both stand-ups or?
I am. I actually how I met Rob actually was I called into the show to see if I can get Shuley on because I was opening for Shuley. And then Rob was like, "Hey, can I perform?" I'm like, "Yeah, fucking A, come on." And then, that's how it happened.
You're
with
based
Mr.
in, where are you based out of?
I'm in Miami.
Okay, cool.
But the Miami scene sucks, unfortunately. There's a couple of good comics like Dougie Almeida.
Yeah, I know Dougie.
He's funny. He's funny as shit.
You'd think there'd be a good comedy scene over there. You're saying it's really not that good, though?
Not really. I mean, not that I know of.
Not with his accent. Are you kidding me?
Where are you originally
you
from?
You don't know what Miami is? Miami is a different world down there.
Where are you originally from, New York or Connecticut?
Staten Island.
Staten Island? Oh.
I'm not saying New York accent. I'm saying he sounds a little white.
He sounds white.
Yeah, man. That will go to Miami.
It only took Patrick an hour and a half to go racist.
Like I know, Julie Baez. I know her. Do you know her from the Miami scene?
Julie Baez?
Yeah, see, she's like a Puerto Rican chick or whatever. I know she does tons of shows down there. Yeah, once you get into Miami, man, it's like a different world, kind of.
I got family in Davie, so.
The problem is that it's very hard to break out in Miami. You either got to be in New York or in LA. Those are really the two spots because not a lot of the clubs put on the up and comers, and the guys that have good material, and you just want to get some stage time that are reliable. Because I know Dougie had an issue with comics just not showing up, and that sucks because then guys like myself who come in who are actually prepared and ready don't get that opportunity.
Yeah, it's not a meritocracy, and I was told that recently by a person at a club. So
on your act or on your routines when you get up there, what's your direction? How do you run your routine? Like, do you have a certain agenda?
Terribly.
Terribly. I ask,
it's horrible.
You have political type comedians. You have sexual type comedians. What do you base your routine on?
Coming in towels and then wiping my face with it, shit like that. Just
stuff everybody can relate to, right?
Stuff I do in real life, basically. Shit I do in real life.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Now the show
and my wife, because she's a terrible person, but that's okay. But I still love her for that.
What is it with comedians and their wives, and they're always angry at their wives, or always having issues with their wives?
Is that just comics?
You don't know.
Well, I guess definitely.
She's not
so only
here.
comics get
She's at the
divorced.
gym, so I can talk shit. She'll never listen to this interview ever. So.
So tell us about the show. What do you guys cover on the show? Is it do you do news? Do you just kind of sit down around bullshit? What do we, what do we cover? What are we doing?
I mean, it's
we got bits, we got parodies, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, we got topics. Like the other day, I made everybody watch a video of a girl pulling out anal beads, and then she didn't realize that there was shit on it, so she put the anal beads in her mouth, and she ate the shit. And I tried preparing for this video because I watched it beforehand because I was the one that pulled it, and I still gagged and almost vomited, and it was disgusting.
That's pretty gross. So that's what we're in for on Sundays on the RazRadioLive.com.
Super.
That's a hell of a visual. I know you are. I know you have other outlets where you're picked up. Where can people pick up your podcasts that you've already done, the shows you've already done, if they want to try to prepare themselves for what they're going to be in for?
We are on Twitch too as well, so I can't play the nude stuff live, but we can play the audio, which is all right. Okay. And plus, I got like explicit material everywhere because I don't want to get kicked. At least everybody knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to kind of be a little careful on Twitch. Twitch is kind of hairy. So we got well, I'm confusing myself.
Oh, and No Name Network. Yeah, No Name Network. I reached out to them and. They were totally cool with putting us on, and they said, whatever you guys want to do, like if you want to put it on other networks, and that's when you and I got in touch with each other, and I think this is great. I just want to put it out and get the most feedback possible from people, and just try to make it better, and just grow, I guess, and that's my main.
That's all we can do here. Just keep pushing to do it, make it fun. Again, I want content. The 2 hours of your stuff is going to be great for us to have over. I welcome you guys. That's why I wanted to bring you on to say hi, introduce you to the audience, and let everybody know Sundays 7 to 9. Two Idiots. What is it again? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Two Idiots versus the World.
Two Idiots versus the
World. And we're going to be on at 7 p.m. We'll be on Ras, and we'll also be, and hopefully we'll be on. BTLS. That would be fantastic.
Maybe one day you can push it.
I'm actually talking to Rob tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see what he says.
Excellent. Well, Joe, good luck with it, man. If you have any problems, any questions, anything I can do to help you out, man, you let me know.
Thank you so much. And Pat, it was nice meeting you, man. Hopefully I get to work with you one day.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll meet.
Really
I got family over that way, too. Pat, he wants to work with you, too. So, maybe we'll have to make a Miami trip together.
That's all.
Well,
I've been to
like in Orlando on the 27th of April. So
that's a little out of my area.
Maybe we can talk and yeah, just have Pat reach out to me, and I'll see what we can do because I wanted to put Rob on that show too if possible.
Oh, dude, we would both come over if you want to book us. We would definitely
take the Chuckle Bus.
Come over. I don't know about that.
I don't like that word book. I don't like that word book.
What's up?
I want to put you on the show.
He doesn't like the word book. He wants to put you on the show.
Okay, I understand the difference.
Put you on the show, and then we'll give you some money. Is that okay?
Yeah, I understand that. See, I know the comedy lingo too.
So book if you book it, you get paid. If you get put on the show, you might get paid. Is that the way that works?
Yeah, that's.
I get it now. All right, Joe. Good luck, man. And I'll check out this Sunday to make sure you got everything rolling right. And again, if you have any problems, let me know.
You got it, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity, man.
Peace out, brother. Have a good one. I wanted to get the promotion for his show on there, and, definitely it should be interesting. I hope they don't play anal beads, but, hey, whatever. Everybody does their own thing.
You can do too much of that on Twitch, so.
Yeah, that is true. If they're on Twitch, they're limited slightly. But you know what? Everybody does their shows the way they do their shows, and I want all kinds of content. We got Kinky Katie. I mean, she's probably played with anal beads once or twice herself. Just saying. Buzzy's calling. Let me call Buzzy back. Ready? Who wants to talk to Buzzard Bob?
Oh,
have you ever talked to Buzzard Bob, Patrick?
To say about shit-covered anal beads,
yeah,
I'm sure.
I'm sure he's not going to like the anal bead talk. Buzzy, how are you? Oh.
Y'all need Jesus.
Who is
this, that,
Would you pull your anal bead out?
Do what?
Huh?
What did you want? You called me.
Yeah, and you wouldn't answer the goddamn phone, you son of a bitch.
Well, you hung up too soon, bastard. What do you want?
I didn't hang up. You hung up. Well, you was just talking about how you was wanting content for your station.
Right.
You need good content, not shitty content. God damn, we already got you on there.
Well, listen, Buzzy, don't troll me on my own show, first of all. But second of all, you don't start out great. You have to build up.
Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. There is an opening at Tuesday nights at 6 p.m.
Hey, I started early for you tonight because I didn't want to hear your shit about starting too late. Don't give me a wrath of crap.
You're always late.
Oh, I wasn't tonight. I started at 4 after tonight. Do you have something intelligent to say, or are you just hassling me?
I just did.
Okay.
What the fuck? Hey, get on my goddamn phone. I got shit to do.
Bye, Buzzy.
Have you ever seen anal beads in person?
Not in person, no. I've no.
I saw him when I was, dude. This is the only night I ever
don't know if I want to know the story,
blacking out
Patrick.
in my entire life.
I mean, I've seen them in person.
You don't want to black out when anal beads are around. First of all,
we drove to this girl's house and she showed us her mom's anal beads.
Oh.
And I remember they start out really small and then they progressively get bigger. As
her
it
mom's
goes.
anal beads.
Yes, and I was like, oh, I
Why
remember
is
looking
this
at that and going,
happening?
oh my gosh, like I'll never forget that. Like they seemed like. Just as a 17-year-old, it seemed very odd.
It's very
to
off-putting.
actually see that, and you just start having sex like a couple years prior.
Yeah, I was going to say at that point in time, you don't know anything about anal play. At 17, 18 years old.
No,
That's a very popular thing now.
Oh, people, it's like I'm surprised they don't
very
wear shirts
odd.
that say it. Like I give up the anal or something. But.
Yeah, I'm sure there's shirts out there that actually say
probably
that.
is. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh my gosh.
What people put out nowadays. Anyway, I got to spin off the anal bead thing here. We got to move off of anal beads.
Oh man.
Patrick, since we were talking anal beads, and something I had wrote down because we haven't really discussed this, and this is it's not an issue with me. It's not. I don't have a problem with the situation. I have a problem understanding the situation. So when we get into like the trans, Me Too, feminism type
72
thing.
different genders.
Yeah, where's your stance on that, or your not stance? I mean, do we really have
Dude,
to have
I
a
don't
stance?
care. People can do whatever they want, but when they want to start forcing people to use certain words or think certain ways, then I'm not down for that at all.
That's kind of where
When
my
you're-
problem.
The whole, it's just weird, man. Like people, like we're gonna have a grandchild, and people would say, "Oh, you shouldn't, force a gender upon them," and it's weird. Like some things they want to go with science, and other things they don't.
Right, and that's
You know what I'm
right,
saying? Let's
right,
pick and choose what we want to go with science, and even not even just science, but like a lot of them are the evolution, survival of the fittest, strongest survive. You know what I'm saying? They believe that supposedly, but yet they won't allow it to be lived out in the world.
Well, and you see these. We've had this discussion a few times recently, and again,
There is legitimately 72 different genders.
Well, I know. I heard the 63 from the German
Now it's
guy.
72. They
That
had
was great.
to. Did you?
Did you ever see that video?
No.
Raz?
No,
There's
no,
a
no.
video
No.
of this guy. It's a German, one of the representatives, basically like in the Senate or the House.
right.
And he gets up and he goes to and then he announces the 63 different genders. He addresses them all, and then he says whatever party he's from will be voting against the non-discrimination bill or whatever. Like, it was funny. He addressed 63 genders and then told him, we're voting against the bill that you guys want. Because they do. It doesn't stop with that, man. That's what people don't realize. It's not...
Civil
It's out of
liberties.
control.
Civil
The
liberties.
pedophile, the pedophilia.
Oh, they're trying to make that a disease and
Dude,
make
I
it okay.
saw that a few years ago from UN people. They were talking about it at the UN, how they'll be treated like homosexuality. You're born that way. And a lot of them, they'll say they haven't acted upon it. I saw it in the St. Pete Times, man. They had a story about this like 30-year-old man, and his mom was wanting you to have sympathy because he's a pedophile, but he has not ever acted upon it, is what they were claiming.
Yeah, I've heard this, yeah.
But now they're saying you can be whatever you want, man. There's people identifying as children so they can fuck little children.
Right.
Like,
Well, there's a girl that wants to be a baby.
It's dangerous territory.
Yeah.
That identifies as a 5-year-old.
Right.
and
She
wants to
wears a
be-
big
that's child
wears
abuse,
a
man. The
diaper
people,
and,
dude. I read a story of a person giving his 4-year-old hormone replacement therapy stuff. Like,
That's
See,
sick.
that's not
4-year-old?
okay.
That's
Dude,
so
that person
sick.
should go to jail. I
Yep.
really
Yeah.
believe that, man. That's child abuse.
I
to-
do believe believe that you are born, when you're born, you can be born gay. I do believe that you can be born to.
Do you think there's
be
anything with the bisphenol A and the?
Oh, absolutely. The
hyper-
feminization of men, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
By
you
far.
you can look around and like see it. I think like
Something
there's
terribly wrong.
there's something wrong. Yeah, like
Well,
just look
between
at
that,
the
the
skinny jeans and that should tell
vaccines,
you.
between that, vaccines, over medication, you know, the fact that I saw a great commercial today, and it was for some golfing app, right, to schedule your golf, and it was on Fox News. And it opens up, and it's this guy standing there in this beautiful kitchen. You can tell he's supposed to be like a rich kind of guy, richy guy. And he's like, you know, when my children grew up, I planned on golfing daily or something along those lines. And he goes, and then it pans out a little bit as he's talking, and there's like a 30-year-old kid sitting in a high chair, or 30-year-old guy sitting in a high chair behind him. And he goes, but this kid never wanted to grow up. And he holds up a chicken wing, the kid, and he goes, are these free-range chickens, Dad? And the guy keeps in with his little thing about, you know, using this app to schedule your golfing because the kids never grow up. And it's all making fun of our society right now because these people, and this is something I'm trying to combat with our son, these people are allowing their children, you know, I lived with I'll be straight up honest, I lived with my parents till I was 30. I moved out for maybe a year with my first wife.
I won't tolerate that from our son, by the way.
I get that.
There's a whole
But
enabling thing that's
even
going on.
Even though I hold on,
being
hold on,
friends with
hold-
your kids,
hold on.
and
Even though I lived with my parents until I was 30, I worked full time. I took care of responsibilities I had to take care of. You know, I was an only child, so it was different. You see my relationship with my parents.
I know.
So, but we don't hold responsibility to these kids now. We're not seeing them being forced out into society. I never not worked. I always worked. I didn't want to leave. I had kids young, and I made stupid choices, and Carol and I didn't get along.
I get it.
So,
Yeah,
but
I get it.
it's weird now. It definitely is different.
Circumstance is unique, whatever. But little boys are acting like total fucking
Dude, my
pussies.
My daughters get up, all of them. My 12-year-old, she has to be out at the bus at 6:30. Do you think I'm awake at 6:30 in the morning getting her up, or at 5:30? No, she gets up on her own, man, and she's out the door every single day. She's 12. My 8 and 10-year-old girls, they wake themselves up, man. They make their own breakfast in the morning, and many mornings they come in and wake me up and say, Dad, it's time to go to school, because I drive them to school because they go to a private school. So literally, like, my 8 and 10, they've done this for a few years, man. Like, they totally take care of themselves. And they get up. Dude, my 10-year-old sets her alarm for 6 o'clock in the morning. We don't have to leave till 7:30.
Yeah, my son's back and forth. Sometimes he wants to jump out a couple hours before school. Other times I have to go in there and wake him up. But he'll get himself ready, and he'll be going out the door. I'm not, these parents that are, sitting there dressing their kids and dragging them out, and
well,
I just don't want to do that.
we hate a lot of our children's friends' parents. Like, oh, it's bad, man. We used to take them to all the birthday parties. We had to deal with all that, and then we'd have birthday parties. The parents that come over, they don't leave. Like, leave, man. We don't want you here. Like, honestly, we don't want the parents there. We just want the kids. Parents can leave, go have fun. Why would you want to stay? Like,
We breezed over the shooting here in Florida recently. Patrick, tomorrow our son is staying home from school, and possibly the next day, because we learned that they're going to be doing an active shooter drill, a red alert training
that's when
drill.
real things happen.
Right.
Often when they run drills, that's when real things occur.
Right, and you see where we live. We live in a very rural area, so I don't believe that's going to be the problem. I hope not, at least. But I'm all good for the police and the teachers to train themselves up to what to do when these events feasibly happen. But they don't need to do it. It should be done on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon when the kids aren't there. Bring the teachers and the police in, let them do their training, and leave the kids alone. We're not letting our child participate. He's not going to school for 2 days because of the fact that they are threatening, and we don't know for sure because they're not telling the teachers. I don't want to throw the individual under the bus, but somebody who is very close to Mikey, who may have foreknowledge of this information, resource officer, told us that it was going to be the 7th or the 8th. So we've decided he's not going to school. what would you do? Would you allow your children? Would you want your children to be involved in that?
I don't know, man. Honestly, if I found out about it, I might question it, knowing that that's when things often occur. Seriously, you can go look. Big events often occur
Right
when...
after the most recent one. You didn't hear last week. I had my cousin's wife on. She's a teacher at the school in Fort Lauderdale, in Parkland.
Stoneman Marjorie.
Yeah, she's a teacher over there. She was there the day of the shooting. She even discussed how they were all told there was going to be a drill.
Oh, I heard about that too. Yeah.
And this was on my show from a family member of mine telling me.
And while everything was taking place for the good first hour, she thought it was a drill.
Mm-hmm.
They're in this room with all these kids, and they're just sitting around like, oh, I guess she got a text from her husband.
That's how she found out that there was something going on.
That he saw on the news. I mean, come
Dude,
on.
and just like so many events, if you go and look, like there's reporting, there's people that gave interviews where they saw like a person in like full body armor.
Yep.
Yeah.
That David Hogg that people say is a crisis actor. He may be, he may not. I have no idea. He's obviously pushing an agenda. But there's videos of him saying about his friend. She had 2 best friends die. Then it was 3. Then it was 4. Like people changed there's multiple interviews of people saying they saw multiple shooters and like from different areas.
From the retired FBI father who is part of a security company that wants to put metal detectors in schools or something along those lines.
And the girl that ran into the shooter that had no gun.
Right.
No body gear whatsoever.
People said
and
that.
And
like
shooting going off in some other part of the building while she's talking to him.
How
could that be?
The Uber timeline, the person that drove the Uber, like pretty much he dropped him off and supposedly he walked in and started shooting like right after that.
But that's not the timeline the sheriff put out.
No.
Not even close to the timeline the sheriff put out.
The whole thing is a total mess.
Yeah.
And that's where like people wonder why people question things.
But you're the bad guy if you question this stuff. You're the bad guy.
Because the children.
It's for the children. All right, Patrick, we're going to wrap the show up, brother. It's been a pleasure having you. I appreciate you taking the 4-hour drive time that it's going to be round trip for you. We are going to feed you after the show if you'd like to have some food. I don't know. I've had your name up, your Twitter, Twitch, Twitter. I get so confused sometimes in my head. I've had your Twitter name at F Patrick Welsh up on the screen there.
Yeah, I don't tweet that much.
Yeah, anything else or any place you want to send people to, follow you, promote you, find out what you're doing, anything along those lines?
Nah, man, just. I'd rather people just start thinking for themselves, and I don't care if you follow me or at all. Don't follow anybody.
Yeah, think for yourself.
You're just like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, what about that? You're going to have many guests on going, hey, don't follow anybody. All these people mentioning their Twitter addresses, don't follow them, man.
Don't follow me.
Why are you even listening to this show? Stop listening. Don't follow anybody.
Sheep.
It's good. Listen to whatever you can, man. Seriously, like, dude, I was younger. I used to listen to Bill Maher all the time, man, and I can't now that I'm, like, more older and wiser.
It's hard to listen to regular news, yeah.
Yes, like, and I loved Bill Maher. Like, and I love Patton Oswalt, people like that, man. It's weird. I loved a lot of these people, and now that I'm older and more knowledgeable, like, I totally disagree with so many.
DJ said, write your memoirs, Patrick, already.
I know, man. You're one of the only people that's going to read them, so...
Too funny.
Yeah, I said I would call it... I thought about it today because I was listening to something about poor things and this and that, white privilege, and I was like, dude, my parents owned a Pinto and a Granada.
Pinto and a Granada.
And a Granada. If you know anything about cars, those were
the
two
worst cars you could buy.
Horrible. They caught on fire. Both of them, right? I know one of them did.
The Pinto and rear end collisions, even slow speed, they would just
that's
explode.
what I like. Like people talk about white privilege, and I could tell you so many things of growing up poor. Like, I mean, I guess we had a car that was good, but we had like the worst car you could have.
Right. And you can also catch Patrick Welsh when Rob is doing his show Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Bubba Army Radio.
Hey, let me just say, if there are anybody up in the Ocala or Crystal River area, I'm going to be up at Bonkers March 16th and then March 17th.
There you go. Go check them out. If we're not on call, if I'm on call, we should go up and see that.
Oh, that's way too far, bad for you to drive.
Where's that?
I'll be down this way sooner than later.
Where's Crystal River?
Oh, dude, it's like almost an hour north of me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's way up there.
Yeah, that is a pretty good
distance.
distance.
Bonkers Ocala, Bonkers Crystal River, March 16th, March 17th. I'm going to be with a gay guy, man.
Uh-oh. Are you
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
Are you gonna be
progressive.
with a gay guy, or are you just gonna be with a gay guy?
I'm going to be doing comedy with him, and then we may make out afterwards. His name's Jeff Jones. He's actually hilarious, man. He's
Depends on how
seriously
it
really,
goes.
really
Yeah.
funny.
Is he
I wouldn't
cute?
say that about too many comics, like, locally, but he's from, like, Orlando, heading southeast over that way. But, yeah, he's legitimately a funny guy.
That's good.
I don't say that about a lot of comics. I'm a comedic prick. You don't want my opinion about comics.
We don't want to hear your opinion on
No,
other
because I
comics.
think most of them are doing hacky, cheesy, or they want to be dirty for the sake of being dirty. I think you're going to be finding that out sometime soon. When's the Mutt show starting?
Sunday. Sunday at 7. Make sure you check out The Two Idiots. I'm sure you'll enjoy that. It should be interesting. Patrick, again, I want to thank you for joining us down here, taking the drive and the time
Thanks
to be
for
here
having
with
me.
us. Guys, check us out next Tuesday, back here where we are. Fort Total will be back with us. Obviously, you can hear the replay on Bubba Army Radio. I don't know if it's going to be Sundays, but hey, you can hear the replay over there whenever they do it. So guys, just be good human beings. Care about everybody around you.
Kisses to the Bubba Army haters.
Yeah, gotta love
and
it.
Kisses to the lovers, too.
Peace out, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Just trying to get through in this world, always trying to prove that we're worth what it takes, but it takes a long time in the dirt to see great.